Good evening and welcome to Alan's Italy. Tonight we are going to be looking at, let me go to this first thing here. Okay, so I can get this better picture of Lake Maggiore. Lake Maggiore is a beautiful lake in the northern part of Italy in an area known as the Lakes District. And we'll be taking a look at a few of the lakes in this area in a few moments. First of all, I'd like to tell you that this is my 20th show that I have done since we started, and actually we've been on the air now for 22 weeks because there were 2 weeks in the middle there when part of there at the beginning when we were doing a show that was already recorded. But we're past our 5th month, going strong, and this unfortunately will be the last live show I'm going to be doing until June 1st, because Laura and I are taking a 2-week trip to Italy starting next Tuesday, and during that trip we will be flying into Rome, then driving to the Umbrian town of Orvieto, where we're staying for 3 nights and visiting with our friends Rick and Sharon, who've been there since mid-April. We're then driving to Tuscany, where we're spending 1 night just outside of the town of Foligno Valdarno, which some of you may recognize is the town in which my friend Luca lives. And we're going to be visiting the area of the very beginning of eastern Tuscany, and then we're getting back in the car and driving to the Tuscan town in western Tuscany of Pisa. Laura's never been to Pisa. I've been there once, and we'd like to do a little photographing, and we're staying overnight there. Then we're going to drop off the car and take the train into Florence, where we're staying for a week. This is the first time I've been in Florence for a week in a very long time, and I wanted to spend a lot of time there because I wanted to do some photographing of things that I would like to do for future shows. So one of the advantages of this trip hopefully will be that I'll be coming home with some really wonderful shows for your viewing pleasure and for my performing pleasure. Okay, so that's what's going on there. On last Monday, a friend of mine, I had lunch with a bunch of guys in town, and one of them, Howard, asked me a question about the cruise ship, the Costa Concordia, which, as you know, on let me get rid of this down here, which on January 13th of this year hit a rock, a giant rock obviously, and caused a gash in the port side, which I am told is the left side of the boat. I didn't know that before I read that. And caused a terrible disaster. The ship, as you've seen in pictures, kind of fell over on the left side, and it was a terrible tragedy. I just wanted to show you, I thought I'd do a little work on that because I didn't know much about it, and I wanted to answer the question for Howard. So I decided to do a little research, and I found out that the scene of the Costa Concordia disaster was right there, right off the coast of Tuscany. The very southern portion of Tuscany, north of Rome, northwest of Rome. And his question was, did the island, there's an island where the survivors were brought, which is the island Isola Giglio, which took part, a lot of the residents took part in the salvaging of the ship and salvaging of the survivors of the ship. And he wanted to know if the town, because it's a really small town, was kind of disrupted by all of the passengers. There were 3,000 passengers aboard, 1,000 crew members, and he wanted to know if the island was overtaxed by the fact that so many people had then inundated the island. And I came to the conclusion by reading that most of the survivors were very, very quickly evacuated back to Rome on ferries. So the island itself did not have, obviously, too much to deal with. The ship had gone out of the seaport at Città Vecchia, which is right near Rome, and it was headed back in that direction. And unfortunately, 32 people died in this horrible tragedy, and two of the passengers are still missing. So I hope that answers Howard's question, and if anybody is interested in knowing more about this horrible event, you could certainly, look up what's going on the internet. I later found out from Howard when I spoke to him by phone that there was another mishap aboard another ship of that same cruise line. So I'm not sure what the future of the cruise line is going to be. But tonight we are going to be looking at Lake Maggiore, and here's the map of Italy that we have used on many occasions. And Lake Maggiore is in the northern part. You can see Switzerland up there in pink, and Austria to the east of it in brown. And you can see the town, the city of Milan, right there in the north. Somebody actually asked me a question recently because they saw a movie about the town of Genoa and wanted to know if Genoa was further north than Milan. You can see quite well that Genoa is south, almost due south of Milan, so that answers that question. But this is what the lakes look like. There are 6 lakes in what's known as the Lakes District, 6 major lakes. There's actually a few other lakes which are even smaller than this, but starting at the right is Lake Garda, where Laura and I spent a little bit of time on Lake Garda, a couple of hours on an afternoon, where we visited the town of Sirmione, which is, as you could see, a town on the peninsula that juts into Lake Garda. And then the next lake is Lake Iseo, to which I have never been, but I have an internet picture just to show you what that looks like. Then my favorite lake, Lake Como, with Varenna over there on the eastern shore, which is my favorite lake, and that's the beautiful lake that we covered several shows ago. And then we have Lake Lugano, which I gave you a brief peek of while we were driving in that region towards Switzerland. And then Lake Maggiore with Stresa over there on the western shore, and Lake Orta. So these are the 6 lakes, and there's Switzerland up there, and Austria, and Milan to the south. And our focus is going to be on Lake Maggiore. There is a close-up of the lake, and you could see that, I'll use the pointer. Here's Stresa. This is where we stayed overnight. And that's what Stresa, where it's located. And here is the Villa Taranto, which is another sightseeing location, which has beautiful gardens. And some of the other towns along Lake Maggiore, which we did not really spend too much time going to. There's Locarno up there at the very northern point of Lake Maggiore, which is in Switzerland, as many of you probably are aware. And here is the town of Arona, which will be important to us a little later. This is a view of the town of Stresa with the view of the lake on a map anyway in the background. I just wanted to show you. We stayed right on the waterfront by, if you look where it says boat dock over there on the right side, that's approximately where we stayed, maybe a little more to the right of that, on the street known as Corso Italia. And I'll show you more about that in a little while. And then you take the boat, you can see the little ferry there headed towards Isola Bella, which is the first island, and then Isola Pescatori, which is the next the island, the smallest of the islands. And then going a little further to the north and slightly to the east is Isola Madre, which is the largest of the islands. Lake Maggiore itself is the second largest lake in Italy. It has a mild climate for most of the year, and it has beautiful islands with beautiful villas and gardens. Methane was discovered on Lake Maggiore by Alessandro Volta in 1776. And the first thing we're going to do is look at the town of Sirmione on Lake Garda. So we arrived at Lake Garda probably around 11 or 12 midday, and this is what the town looks like. It's a very pretty town, as you could see so far. We actually, this is the beach, looking out at the lake. You know, the surrounding mountains are not quite as spectacular as Lake Maggiore, you'll see in a moment, and also Lake Como, which you've seen before. This is where we started. We pulled up to this spot. Looking in this direction is actually to the south, and we will then walk towards the front there, which is to the north. We parked on the left side, and we began walking along this wharf. And this is what we first passed this site, which is the famous Sirmione Hotel. Sirmione was once described to me by a friend of mine as the most beautiful town he has ever seen. And this is a fellow who's been all over the world, studied in Paris at the Sorbonne, and also told me that the Rue Jacob in Paris was the most beautiful street he's ever been on. I've been to the Rue Jacob, and it is quite beautiful. So when he told me that, I said, I'm going to Sirmione. This is what it looks like. It looks like there's a castle there, but that's just really the entrance to the town across that moat, kind of moatish. It's not really a moat. It's really just the water around it. There's Laura over there at the extreme right-hand corner. And when we cross that bridge, we come to the town. It's a very pretty town. It was very crowded this Sunday afternoon. And there's Laura, taking a picture right there in the front. But it was very crowded, as you could see. Not as crowded as, let's say, Florence on a Sunday afternoon in April or May. But you could see it's a very pretty town with beautiful trees lining the streets and balconies. Okay, so I guess that's all I have on Sirmione. But a very, very pretty town. Certainly worthwhile to visit. And, I've never been, I've been to Lake Orta, but we did not get a picture of Lake Orta, so I took this off the internet. But as you can see, it's a very beautiful lake. and then Lake Iseo, to which I've never been. But again, a very beautiful lake with beautiful mountains in the background and an island in the middle there. And now we're back to the town of Stresa on Lake Maggiore. And this is a view from our hotel balcony. And you know, I like to stay in hotels on lakes and beaches overlooking the lake and the beach, and try very hard to get a balcony. And I found out that on Lake Maggiore, there's a festival every year at the end of July, beginning of August, called the Spirit of Woodstock Festival. And I was really surprised to see this, and very delighted, you know, because, my hometown, Woodstock, New York. And this is the festival, obviously much smaller than the Woodstock Festival of 1969. But a very famous festival apparently, because it's free music and free admission to this concert, and international bands play. And the theme of this concert are unity, love, and freedom, which makes a lot of sense in the spirit of the Woodstock Festival. So that's what it looks like. This is the hotel we stayed at, La Palma, which had balconies right on the lake, as you'll see in just a few moments. This is the lobby. I don't have very many pictures of the lobby, and all the pictures I have of the lobby are with me in it. So, forgive me, but this is what the lobby looked like. It was a very, very beautiful hotel that we were lucky to get because we made these plans only 2 weeks before. There's a picture of me sitting on a couch overlooking the main patio with the chairs outside. Very pretty hotel. And this is a cute video, which we're going to show you. This is a really, it's not that pertinent to Lake Maggiore, except that we in the hotel lobby, and we were all kind of playing with this dog, Whiskey. And here is the video for your enjoyment. This is the highlight of our trip. This is Whiskey.
Whiskey!
The dog of one of the people in the reception area at the hotel La Palma in Stresa. Whiskey is one of the cutest dogs you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Whiskey and Linda have really bonded, and Bruce is staying here, and Whiskey is going
wait a second.
with Linda.
Here, Alan, take it and... Whiskey, come here.
And Whiskey also likes Laura, apparently, but
No, he doesn't.
not anymore.
Come on, Whiskey.
Whiskey, come on, give Laura a break. You've got to give Laura some petting time. All right, so there the two women are with the dog, and the two men have been pretty much shelved for the evening.
Yes, the most beautiful dog.
One of the most beautiful dogs. And I apologize for calling you a lab, even though you're a golden.
It's really fun to take a little bit of...
Is it a lab or a golden? Now I'm confused.
Golden.
Okay.
Okay, so that's Whiskey with the ladies petting it. And if nothing else, it gave you a good view of what the lobby looked like. And now we're on the balcony of the room that we had, which was on the top level. And this is the view you get looking to looking to the south. It was a beautiful main street. This is looking to the north, towards the first island over there, which is Isola Bella. A view of the lake spanning around. You can see the snow-capped mountains. This was mid to late April, when there was still plenty of snow in the mountains, which were pretty high up. Another view of the lake with the town of Stresa and Isola Bella over there in the middle of the picture. This is a view from, I believe, the roof of the hotel. The hotel had a beautiful roof garden, which was really lovely. And we took some pictures looking 360 degrees around And it's a very pretty town. It's a resort town for the most part. There is, there are people who live here. There are some children playing on the wharf with the boats in the background and the mountains in the background. And there I am leaning over the railing, kind of looking at, this is a very relaxing trip for us because we spent 9 days basically hanging around Lake Como and Lake Maggiore. Pretty relaxing. This is the main street. A little Miami Beach-ish because, there are hotels lining the street and, it's a little commercial, but it's very pretty, if you want a relaxing trip. There's the Hotel La Palma on the left side, and you can see the very top level. There's balconies, and we had one of those balconies, and Linda and Bruce, who came with us on this trip, had a balcony right next to us. There's me standing in front of the hotel grounds, beautiful grounds. Another view, this is from the roof, looking towards Isola Bella, which we'll be talking about in just a few moments. But this is the main piazza where we went for lunch at least one, possibly 2 days. This is where everybody kind of goes for lunch and hangs out. There are all kinds of shops, one of which is a gelateria, which is one of my favorite places to hang out in Italy. And the ice cream, if I remember correctly, was pretty good, as it is all over Italy. This is, a lunch. This is where we had lunch, and there's me paying the bill with the server over there. Me wearing my Tilly hat that I wear on all of our trips to Italy. This is a great picture. Not only because Linda looks just beautiful in this picture and showing off that hat that she's trying on, but it's kind of a hat store, and the woman behind her is the proprietor. And if you look, you see the look on her face. She looks very angry and mean. And we just thought she was holding up this pole that she was going to bring that down on Linda's head. So we decided to get out of there quickly. But you can see the cafes along the side there, where people stop and have a cappuccino. This is along the side. And we wound up at the zoo. We decided to spend an afternoon at the zoo. And here is a great picture of Linda and Bruce at the zoo. And at their backs is Lake Maggiore. Bruce and Linda, with whom we had a really wonderful time. That's what the gardens looked like. There were two aspects of this zoo. One was, of course, the animals, which were very interesting to see. But we don't have any pictures of the animals. We only have pictures of the gardens. So what you'll be seeing in this next sequence of pictures is simply the gardens of the zoo, which is on the southern portion of the town of Stresa. Just magnificent gardens. That's the, this botanical garden / zoo area was really a villa right on the lake, and that's what the villa looked like. It was very beautiful. Those are the grounds right by the villa overlooking the lake, looking to the south and southeast. And this is one of my favorite pictures. This is Laura seated on the lawn with the flowers behind her and the beautiful arches made of greenery over there on the left. And this is a view from the top of Mottorone. And those are the 3 islands we're going to be visiting within the next few minutes. On the left is Isola Pescatori. Actually, let's start on the right. Isola Bella in the lower right-hand side, and then we had lunch on Isola Pescatori, and then we wound up on on Isola Madre over there in the distance. And this is what they look like. There's Stresa right there in the front, as you saw earlier. And we got the boat. The boat took us to Isola Bella, and then Isola Pescatori, sometimes known as Isola Superiore del Pescatori. And then you take another ferry to Isola Madre, and this is like a day's activity. You start early, and you go from one island to the other on ferry. And this was the ferry wharf, and there are all the destinations you could go. There's the one on the extreme left is Isola Bella and Isola Superiore, which we will be going to. And there are all the other locations along the way. And this is Isola Bella. And Isola Bella, we're not sure. I looked up several sites on the internet. Half of them say the island is named after just, Isola Bella means beautiful island. But the other half say that this is named after the wife of Carlo III, who was, the Borromeos were a very wealthy family whose court was located in Arona, which is on the southwest portion of Lake Maggiore. And Isabella was the countess, Carlo's wife. And some say that the island is named after Isabella. They just took the Bella part of that. And, basically now, Isola Bella is a tourist attraction. And there's the boat, ferry boat, getting close to the island with the mountains in the background. There's the view all around the lake, mostly in this case on the left side of the ferry boat. And you can see there are all the hotels lined up along the shore of the lake. There's the Hotel La Palma where we stayed. And as you can see, if you go up 1, 2, 3, 4, we were on the 5th level. So we had one of those balconies up there on the 5th level, which was quite a beautiful view. Considering we made these reservations only 2 weeks before, we really got two very beautiful rooms with beautiful views. And you can see the mountain. That's not really a mountain, it's more of a hill in the background. And that's what what it looked like. That's a big hotel on the west shore of Lake Maggiore. And we are approaching Isola Bella. And we're getting closer. You can see some of the gardens that are peeking out there from the top. That's what it looks like as the ferry boat docks right along the side of the island, and then people, of course, disembark, and this is the view they see. It's getting closer, and you begin to walk around some of the streets. Very typical of towns along lakes in Italy, as you could see. Steps, a lot of steps to climb up to get to the main part of the island. On the left side was a cafe that we went into, and we're delighted to see that it was dedicated to music. There are guitars and pictures of famous personalities in the music field. They played rock music here, and we were just kind of pointing out different things and taking pictures. So this was serendipitous that we came upon this. We did not know that this cafe was going to be there, but we quickly left and we began walking along the waterfront of the town with these views all around us. And we eventually went into the villa, and this was the roof, the ceiling of the villa, beautiful ceiling. And these were the gardens, very beautiful gardens. The villa is over there on the right side. And this is very spectacular. The next several pictures will be focused on the beautiful gardens. This was a museum, the Marionette Museum, which displayed these beautiful dolls and puppets. This is the entrance hall of the villa on Isola Bella. Very, very big and beautiful. Many stories high, not sure how many, but it looks like at least 3 or 4 stories. And, you know, throughout the villa were hung beautiful medieval tapestries, as you can see. And then we went out to the gardens and we saw these beautiful stone walls with statues and beautiful gardens of the Borromeo family. That's Bruce standing in front of a pretty extraordinary tree, an extraordinary gentleman standing in front of an extraordinarily beautiful tree. Some of the grounds. Those peacocks over there on the left will play a very large role in some of the future photos that you'll be seeing in a few moments. But, you know, I'm not sure what this is, but this is obviously a combination of sculpture and columns and beautiful greenery. And we're standing in front of this magnificent, magnificent piece. And this is what it looked like all around it. This is what it looked like up close. You can see how beautiful that is. The peacocks were just kind of wandering around, doing their thing, not bothering anybody, and we were just walking around the gardens. Very relaxing, just kind of, you know, taking in the scenes. There are those peacocks again, and you know, as Laura took these peacocks, she became more and more fascinated by them. This is the view you get from the villa area of Isola Bella. Another view looking towards the western shore of Lake Maggiore. This is a beautiful picture taken through an arch, looking down at the gardens with the statue in the front. Look at this. This is from the patio of the villa. You know, you'd have dinner or, you know, lunch and come out here on the patio, or you'd have dinner on the patio, and this is the view you'd have. So this is like unbelievable. Another view of it. Pretty much the same view, but a little different. Not sure what took place out here, but probably events. Isn't that called a topiary? Ellen, do you know what that tree over the round, the kind of conical shaped tree, is that called a topiary? I don't know.
I don't know.
No, I'll have to look that one up and let you know the next
It's
time.
a mathematical term.
Okay, so here's where Laura starts to really get serious about the peacock. She sees this peacock down there, and she starts to walk towards it. So this is what it looked like, you know, as she first saw it, and then walks towards it, and there it is, kind of lurking around, and Laura wants to get a real close-up, so she's tiptoeing towards this peacock, and I think that the peacock caught wind of her, and started, at first was running away, but then decided to give her a treat, and began to expand its feathers. And this is what eventually Laura's reward was when she took this photo of this incredible view of the peacock spreading its wings, its feathers, and then she quietly and slowly crept up, right up to it, and came up with one of the best pictures she has ever taken, and this is the picture. This is an extraordinary picture. The peacock accommodated her by, giving her the full display of its beauty. And again, this is one of the great pictures I think that Lauren has caught. This was really serendipitous. This was of course not planned, although as Laura was creeping up on that, she kept, if you saw the last few pictures, she was always like kind of lurking around those peacocks, and eventually, got this beautiful scene. And then we just kept walking around the gardens of Isola Bella. There's a picture of us, taken probably by either Linda or Bruce. The trees you get along these lakes are pretty amazing, as you remember from the trees along Lake Como. And there's a distant view of the beautiful gardens. One last view of that magnificent piece over there. We're lurking over there on the right side. That's Linda and Bruce and I was kind of standing over there staring at this thing. And now we're about to leave the island of Isola Bella, and we come upon the next island, which is Isola Superiore dei Pescatori. And this is an island which is pretty much a fishing village of 32 people. And most people come to this island to just have lunch. And we were one of those people, one of those groups that came here. Again, we're on the ferry now, headed towards the island. And the island is over there in the distance, and we're getting closer and closer to it. When I first saw this island, I said, wow, it's really pretty. It's a shame that more people don't come there. Of course, when you get to these islands, you don't want anybody else. You just want to have the whole thing for yourself, which is rather selfish. I'm just a tourist as everybody else is. But this is the dock, and we get off right here. There's the sign, Isola Superiore dei Pescatori, and there's the, one of the snack bars. Is not where we had lunch. This was more of a snack bar. We kind of wanted something a little more spectacular, which Linda and Bruce scoped out the place they'd like to eat, and they chose a magnificent spot. This is me looking back at Laura saying, boy, they chose a great spot here for lunch. And this is what it looked like. This is what the table looked like. There's a couple of glasses of wine with the breadsticks that are always brought to your table. In Italy you pay what's called a coperto, which is a fee of about $2 or $3. Before you even sit down, you pay this fee, and they bring over silverware, and they bring over bread, which, some places bring over for free, but they charge you for the tablecloth. I don't know, that's what they say. It's called coperto, the cover charge. And that's one of the things we ordered for lunch. It looks like a cannelloni, a little bit of a cannelloni, with the wine in the background and the bread over there. And this is the way it looked having lunch in this restaurant. I don't have the name of it, but there's my big salad and the pasta and everything else. And we just kind of ate, looking to the right all the time at that beautiful view. Try to eat as much salads as possible when I'm there. This is a nice distant view of what the table looked like. This is, in the middle there is a staircase. So we came up that staircase right about over there, and then we went around the railing to that table. Great table with the great view of Lake Maggiore. And this is the view we had. And then we decided to walk around the town a bit more to try to get a view of what this town looked like. It was a pretty town. So it was fun walking around, if I remember correctly. But then we kind of, went down to the waterfront, and there's Linda looking at one of the stores along the waterfront. And we eventually took the ferry to the third island, Isola Madre. And Isola Madre is known because it is supposedly the most beautiful of the gardens along the lake. I might dispute that because I think Isola Bella was pretty beautiful. But it is known for its beautiful gardens, and it's known for its colored birds, which you'll see in a few minutes. And here's the island. We're getting close to it. See the signs there as the boat pulls up to the wharf. We get off, and this is the view we see. These are the steps that lead up to a church. And, we walked up these steps to get to the island, and very, very beautiful, as you could see, with those trestles over there. And these steps are known as the Scala dei Morti, which means staircase of the dead. So they didn't explain why it was called Stairway of the Dead, but one could imagine, it's a church, and maybe when people passed away, they were brought up to the church for the ceremony and then laid to rest in the graveyard. So this was beautiful stairway, beautiful entrance to the island. When you get to the top of those steps, this is the view you see, which is really very beautiful. These are not the steps that you saw. These are different steps all over the island. Are these beautiful little patios and porticos surrounded by beautiful greenery. And here are some of the birds. This was a pretty beautiful bird, which Laura captured a view of. These are the gardens that we were walking around during this part of the day. Very pretty. I mean, it was really lovely walking around. Of course, by late afternoon you start to get a little tired. And then, of course, we retreated to this site, and Laura captured this as well. Looks like a peacock to me with the long feathers, trailing, but a very beautiful bird, as this island is known for. And then she got this one, which is really amazing. Yeah, I don't even think there's a color that's missing from this one. So this was a very beautiful bird. And this is what a fountain looked like from the villa looking down. I don't believe this villa was open, so I believe this villa was closed. We just went to the balcony just to get some pictures. And you could see the wisteria along the trestle there, the arches going down towards, I believe there was a restaurant. It could have been a restaurant at the end of that long alleyway there. But look at this view. This is a beautiful, this was not the villa, this is just like an outbuilding. But very, very beautiful. And then we got back on the boat and we were headed back to Stresa. So we're headed back now towards the town of Stresa where our hotel was located. And we wound up eating 3 of the nights at this restaurant. And we took it's very rare that we're in a place for 4 days, 4 nights, and we have dinner at the same place 3 nights out of the 4. But we did here because we just loved the food. And we met the family. I don't have pictures of them. We took pictures, but I didn't, either I couldn't find it or I just couldn't, I just didn't put it in. But these are, the family lived upstairs, and they were very, very nice to us while we were there. We spoke to them, and they served up some pretty extraordinary food. This looks like just a dish of spaghetti, but believe me, this was a very, very incredible dish. And then, of course, this pizza, amazing. And this is what it looked like, while we were headed to our final destination, while we were at Lake Maggiore, which is Mottorone. We're going to take the car now up around this mountain. You know, it was not a treacherous climb as some of the sites I've shown you in the past, where there's hairpin turns and all that. This was more of just a kind of a gradual trip up the side of this mountain and passing through some very, very beautiful towns along the way, as you could see. And eventually we got to the top of Mottorone. So this is the view of the lake from the top of Mottorone. Actually, we're not quite at the top now. We're almost at the top. We're actually sitting on a bench overlooking the lake. I don't have a picture of the bench. I did, but I didn't include it because, you know, with every presentation I make, I always have a tremendous number of pictures that I then try to, you know, pare down. So I removed that one. But here's the lake from as we're walking up Mottorone. Another view of the lake looking towards the, I believe, north, let's see, northeast. We kept climbing higher and higher. Beautiful mountains in the background. And eventually, this was the highest point, and Linda and Bruce couldn't make it up yet. It was very patchy. There was a lot of ice and snow on this hill, and it was very difficult to walk up. We were all having a very hard time, except Laura, who always wore high-heeled boots, and everybody always said those must be very uncomfortable to walk around, which she loves. She loves wearing those boots whenever she sightsees. But getting up an icy mountainside was the easiest for her because she had the best traction. And we got to the top and eventually took this great picture that I showed earlier of the 3 islands in Lake Maggiore. And then we're back to Stresa, and there's the main street as darkness falls. This was taken from the hotel balcony, looking to the north, back at, that's the Isola Bella over there on the left, and Isola Madre on the right. Another view of the lake as night falls. A beautiful sunset. And you can see that all the tourists have pretty much gone home at this point. And that's, I believe, the final picture, Lake Maggiore. And again, I'm not sure if this is sunrise or sunset, because Laura got up at 5 in the morning one morning to take some sunrise pictures. So either way, this is a very spectacular picture and certainly a good way to end tonight's show on Lake Maggiore. So I'd like to again tell you that this is the last live show I'll be doing until June 1st, when I come back from my trip with hopefully some more beautiful pictures to show you. And in the meantime, those of you who see this show as a repeat on Woodstock Public Access, or if you get the show live, you will see the show live, because Ellen will select 2 of her favorite DVDs to show of previous shows. But the next live show again will be June 1st, and I will see you then. And in the meantime, buona notte e buona fortuna.